Hi, my name is Christy Edwards. I'm the Director of International Humanitarian Law at the American Red Cross, and I'm very much looking forward to reading the report, but wondered if there's any specific recommendations that are made, particularly as we're seeing more asymmetric warfare and warfare that occurs in really dense or heavily populated areas. If there are recommendations made, particularly also for our partner forces, on how to reduce civilian harm in areas that are extremely difficult to mitigate that harm.
Thanks, Christy. It's an extraordinarily difficult, really, and complicated issue, of course, and it's a great question. I guess my answer would go back to you've got to gather. First of all, you've got to gather the information. You've got to gather the data. Some of the empirical studies that we looked at for Afghanistan suggest that in places where a militant group has got greater local affinity than the government, when pro-government forces cause civilian harm in those environments, they pay significantly higher penalties than when they cause harm in pro-government areas. Conversely, when pro-government forces inflict harm in areas that have greater sort of affinity towards a militant or asymmetric group, that asymmetric group gets disproportionate gains. And so imagine if the North Korean army were in your neighborhood and you had people in your neighborhood fighting back against them, and those people inflicted some civilian harm in the crossfire. The tendency would be to blame the North Korean army for being there in the first place and not blame your own people who were fighting back. It's that sort of dynamic. And so one of the challenges that we found is that when you try to place sort of blanket restrictions, you lose that kind of fidelity, and you may be, on the one hand, missing opportunities to advance your strategic interests. Or in a different context, you could be actually harming your interests in ways that reinforce support for the local militant groups. And so, but you don't know that level of fidelity unless you gather the information, and then you can make much better decisions on those questions.